Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another podcast episode. I think it's the fifth episode of this show. And once again, it's me, Nayeef and Martina Geromin here with us. Today, we will be talking about holistic learning, one big aspect of the whole SBL learning culture. Martina, would you like to start?
Yes, of course, Nayeef. First and foremost, I would like to say why it's always Nayeef and myself, because Nayeef is an alumni and Nayeef is really has been part of SBL for a long time, and he still is, although he's not with us anymore. But he will also start the teacher training with School Beyond Limitations soon, because he wants to dive into it even more. And that takes me also to the question holistic learning, right? What is holistic learning? I mean, it's whole, it's everything. It's learning not only a segment that usually happens in the majority of schools. I'm not saying in all the schools, but in the majority of schools, they are still aligned with what has been done for over 100 years in the industrial era. Where it's about filling vessels, thinking that there is a vessel and containers need to be filled and people need to memorize. So the main focus was and still is on the academic intellectual aspect. And the intellectual aspect, of course, is part of the aspects of learning. But memorizing as such, and again, I'm not saying memorizing is wrong, but it's just only a little part of what learning is all about. Learning is all about the entire system. We are made of a system that includes the body, that includes also beyond the body, so this spiritual aspect. It includes also the well-being, the emotional, social well-being. It includes also the aspect that is correlated to creativity. And creativity is something that already the term creativity means that we create, and we talked about that already in the past. We create something that comes from within. We often have these insights, these light bulbs, these moments, where we know, oh, this is an idea, this is an imagined idea that I would want to put into practice. And when this comes to one, it means this comes from within, and then we need all the other layers to help us bring this to the surface and bring it into the world, so to speak. And that's this kind of organic, constructive learning where what is outside, I connect it with the inside. And I have to have an understanding that there's no such thing that one part is more important over the other part. We need, like with food, it's so important. It's also, how do I take care of my body? It's not just a physical exercise and doing sports and just we have feet and arms and all the organs, they want to be used. And in order for them to be used, we need to use them, we need to train them, we need to build up muscles. And the same is with the brain, with the intellectual, with the wiring of the brain. And in order for the body to work well, we need to nurture it through sports, but also through food, through the nutrition, through the self-talk. So it's also about, what do I think about myself? What do I think about others? What do I think about politics, about philosophy, about religion, about whatever? So which kind of values do I have, and I think if there is an understanding, then I start, understand that this taking care of everything within a school context also is important, and the creating part is in connection with the entrepreneurial part, as we see it at the School Beyond Limitations. What does it mean? It's just the understanding that if there is something coming from within, I can create it, I can take action, and I can create around me a team, that brings this into the world, and I can live most likely from that, whatever that is. So holistic education is such a broad thing, and doesn't mean that I just tick off different subjects, you know, and all the rest can be done then later at a later stage, right? It's part of everything. If we look at children and observe children when they are very, very small, and still in their phase of discovery, curiosity, and so forth, we see they are not conscious necessarily about all of that, but you see that they are daydreaming, that they are talking to themselves, that they are, telling themselves stories, because the stories that come from within are real stories for them. And then later on, we tell them, this is wrong, this is nonsense, and we say it's just, something that is related to a world that doesn't belong to us. And I believe that's wrong, because it's not true. If it's coming to you, there is always meaning in this. And we need to listen to that, and that shapes then what I'm here for. So the holistic learning allows for us then to understand that each and every one of us has a calling, has something within, and that's why it's so important to take care of that.
Well, Martina, that's very well put together. Holistic learning is pretty much everything. To a certain extent, I even think that academic learning is within the holistic learning, because you are choosing something to learn for your own, and that could be academic, that could be a sport, or that could be anything. And the whole definition of holistic learning could also be choice. You choose to learn whatever it may be, and then that appears to you naturally, and then you naturally get to learn it. you know there's no dependency on anything to actually pursue that learning, as long as there's a will for it. And I
Yeah.
think this is what makes holistic learning so powerful. I think all the other learning is included within it. So if someone is a holistic minded person or holistic learner, I mean, they are a learner for life. That's true education. um yeah, I think SBL emphasizes a lot of holistic learning, which is why it makes SBL really special. It gives every single individual the choice to learn, and the choice to explore. And holistic learning is about exploring as well. You've given a very good example of children in their stage of discovery, telling them stories, believing in them, and then viewing the world in their own way. I think that was a very good example. We adults are no indifferent. We always try to think we are, but we are not. Even when we are adults, you always have these wishes. The dreams become wishes then. That, okay, I wish, maybe if I had that, if I would become this or that. I think it's all about really giving you the push to actually explore whatever you're pursuing, and then just to wait and see, what the universe has said for you, because everything that you invest on, whatever you invest in, will return to you in any way. So it's always important that we are conscious, and we are sort of hopeful about things, because that's what brings the greatest things. What do you think?
Absolutely, Naive. And I think it's one key word. There are different keywords that you just used now, but one key word that you used is curiosity, right? If I follow my curiosity, and children at that age, when they are still within themselves, and we all have it, as you rightly say, we just unlearn it, over time. And if I follow my curiosity, if each person follows their curiosity, then, as you said, it's a natural flow. And I'm open, I'm interested in, oh, let's see how this will unfold. I'm not too much in the future. I just know, okay, now I take my next step because my calling, my curiosity, my explorative mind takes me in that direction. If you look, for instance, artists, what painters or sculpture makers, or musicians or whomever, who really are in the flow of what they are doing. And I don't know whether you've experienced it for sure yourself, but I experience it on a daily basis. I'm doing things that I like doing, and I want to ponder, I want to go deeper, I want to do that further. And then suddenly, there comes a new idea to your mind, and then you just go and go. And if we follow this, I also call it this intuitive mind that comes from within, and is then, if you allow this to unfold and in the physical world, as you rightly said before, then things fall into place. Of course, it's also sometimes trial and error, but if we follow it, we find out, is this the right, strategy? It's not necessarily the question about the direction, because if there is a calling, if you are explorative and inquisitive and, you want to find out, then already the nature as such, this natural flow as such indicates you that this is the right direction. Maybe the how you did it doesn't take you there that fast, but you try out and you do not get away from the compass, and it's about this compass. And this is what we always say also within in our SBL blueprint and manifesto. There is an essence within all of us, this uniqueness in all of us that asks for exploration, that asks for extrapolation, that asks for, bring it out to the world, yeah, and show it for yourself, but also for the world as such, because you make the difference, then you make a difference in the world. And yes, so I think it's this curiosity and this allowance that curiosity is there and keeps you moving. And that there is this element and this layer that we always talk about in education, the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And I don't want to even judge extrinsic or intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic is coming from within. I don't say that extrinsic motivation should not be there at all, because all of us, I think this is also a natural kind of feeling that we feel acknowledged if somebody says to us, wow, this was great, you did it really well, or I like what you're doing, or whatsoever. I think it would be wrong to say, we don't care about it at all, because we are social beings, human beings, social beings who, to see what's around us. So I think if there is this intrinsic motivation and I follow my intrinsic curiosity, then there will also extrinsically come something to us, and that builds up, and we will build up those attitudes such as resilience and discipline and determination, because we know that our compass takes us in a certain direction. Yeah, like you do, Nayeef, as well. You are an example for that. You are open-minded, you're flexible, and you go in the direction. And I would like you to share with us a few examples of your own life where you actually just followed this compass and what you have already achieved, and how school, by giving and nurturing this growth mindset, this understanding, of course, go for it, has helped you.
No, absolutely. First of all, I want to touch upon a very important and sensitive topic. I think for me personally, this is very important. Um, you've talked about this allowance of nurturing the curiosity of students. I think this does not exist in our society. This does not exist in traditional schooling system. And if this notion can be changed, I think this will be a huge movement, a massive movement for the entire educational system. No one gives students the allowance to focus on their potential, to explore themselves and the things that they're working on. This is what SBL is different. This is where SBL is different. It allows the students to explore themselves. It nurtures their curiosities. It guides them towards, you know, achieving something with their curiosity that they're having. And so yeah, that was a very vital point you mentioned. Second of all, I think it takes a lot of practice for an individual to actually have that understanding of self motivation, because as you said, we are social beings. So initially every motivation starts from the outer world. Maybe you may motivate me, someone else, I may motivate them, and then they get into the process, they actually start learning that or doing that, and slowly they will have the motivation from within to actually continue doing it you know and this goes hands in hand. It's not like is or it's just goes together. For my personal life, I've always been motivated and influenced by people. People always inspire me. I like to connect with people, I like to communicate with people, and I think the way they see the world, their everyone's life story is very different. Even people from the very same background or similar success stories will have entirely two different stories, and I think these things really inspire me to like lead my own life and then lead myself, and then also perhaps show others or guide others towards their best possible ways. And being a member for NSBL for about 5 years really gave me these unique stories, because every single one of the individuals, including the facilitators and peers, do have very unique stories to come into the school, because this is not the regular kind of school that people would want to sign up for. And this is exactly where I found myself, and I've got this safe space to explore myself. And as I always keep mentioning, that I can't thank enough the whole community for nurturing the growth, for nurturing the curiosity every single individual, including myself, have had, and I still have them. And this is what I think has given me the kick to understand, um, maybe there's more to what I'm doing, and that kept me pushing to go even further. So yeah.
Thank you for this example. And you know what you just said, Naif, about leading. It's this capacity of leading our own lives and maybe guiding them ourselves. And I think this is giving the allowance of trialing it out, and the allowance of making space, as you rightly said, is so extremely important, because in regards to intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, I mean, the intrinsic motivation with small children is there. They are intrinsically motivated already, but we unlearn it over time, because we disconnect. And once there is disconnection taking place, then of course we don't anymore understand what is actually coming from within, because our brain and our mind is taking over instead of what is coming from within. Yeah. And what is so important is that I already mentioned it a number of times. I haven't met Albert Einstein myself, so I don't know whether this is really an accurate quote or not, but because I haven't heard him say that. But he always said imagination is more important than knowledge, because the imagination is coming from within. Yeah. And the knowledge is an instrument, the knowledge, the information. And again, this is a philosophical conversation, but the extrinsic knowledge, this information that's out there, and I need to make sense of it. Yeah. So and it's an instrument, I should use it in order to bring something new into life. And exactly, you mentioned about movement. SBL is not just a school, right? And we say it's not just a school, it's a movement. And that's where we invite everyone, if they feel that there's something not quite right, especially nowadays, and we said it already a number of times, where information is just at your hands all over the place, you know I think it's important that we make sense of this information and that we understand that actually we shouldn't be scared about it. We should be able and we should be educated to use it in a way, in a conscious way and mindful way that allows for us to create even more, but to understand that the power lies within us and not in the machine, for instance. It's us who then decide, and take action. So that's also part of holistic learning.
Yeah, and absolutely. And holistic learning is the key to true education, I would say. So I think there was a very good and deep conversation, and we have, you raised some vital points, and let that be the ending of today's episode. We'll be back again next week, so keep an eye on our channel to get more interesting conversations like these. Thank
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can, indeed, bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.